Should you sell your Bitcoin now? That is a good question to be asking. Well, obviously, if you are aware of the Bitcoin cycles and aware of what will happen in quantitative easing, then you know that the question in the long term obviously is no, to not sell your Bitcoin. But when you look into the shorter term timeframes, or I mean, not even so short term, but you go into the weekly time frame and you see this shooting star candle, which doesn't really look too amazing at all. You're getting hints that Bitcoin may perhaps be creating a lower high on the daily time frame, and that wouldn't be so nice. So we will talk about this potential scenario in today's video, and if it's smart for you to be holding long positions or to be putting your stop losses to break even, to be prepared for a scenario where Bitcoin decides to dump into the 80 to the maybe even $70,000 region. So if that sounds interesting, then watch until the end of today's content. We have CME gaps. There are two CME gaps forming on Bitcoin. So I want to talk about that and also talk about this interesting tan curve that Bitcoin is creating and hopefully propels us into a super cycle. So that will be an interesting topic. Strategy bought more Bitcoin. We have a bunch of companies buying Bitcoin today specifically, which is pretty cool. President Trump spoke on cryptocurrency again, and so much more. So stick around, subscribe, and destroy the like button, guys. We're super close to 50,000 subscribers. So if you destroy the subscribe button and leave a like, that would mean the absolute world. But with that said, let's go into the daily time frame and talk about what Bitcoin could be doing in the next couple of days. So obviously, we do have a bit of a bearish divergence on the 4-hourly time frame, but I'm not taking any strictly negative action in the sense of, now just being very concerned about my longs and thinking of shorting Bitcoin or closing my longs. No, I'm not doing anything like that because first of all, the RSI bearish divergence looks like it is pretty much played out. Now that it's resetting back to 30, it does look like it has played out most of its strength. And we are trading at support of hopefully this ascending bull flag if it does continue to hold. So we are in this ascending broadening channel / ascending bull flag on the 4-hourly time frame. And you could still argue that we're somehow in an ascending triangle, but we obviously broke down back into the support. So we could be pumping from here. Let's cross our fingers. But I think we're at good support. Right now, we're at good support. Even if you go to the daily time frame, you can see that the daily is also giving us pretty good support from prior price action. So I don't think now is a good time to be shorting. I wouldn't be going 100x long either. I think it's still okay to be bullish. My bias is still bullish. Problems will emerge if we break below 93.7, 93.8 with a confirmation on the 4-hourly time frame. But unless that happens, I'm going to be remaining bullish. Let's just say it does. Let's just say Bitcoin decides to break below here. The only thing that I'm going to do is put a couple of my long positions, their stop losses to break even, and I'll alert you guys on which positions I do this to over on the free CryptoKids Telegram community, which you can use the link in the description to join for free. So that's the only thing that I will do. If we start breaking below here, I'll just put my stop losses to break even and then put some more limit orders to buy Bitcoin cheaper if we decide to see a break below. But if we don't, then still, clear skies ahead and we can continue pumping. So I'm not going to entertain that option too much now. Let's see how the next 24 hours play out and we can take action accordingly. We do have two CME gaps though on Bitcoin. So we go to Bitcoin BTC1, Bitcoin futures. You'll notice that there are two pretty significant, on the 4-hourly at least, two pretty significant CME gaps. One at 91.9, which is good support for Bitcoin on the spot price too, and one to the upside at 97.3. These two will fill eventually. So we could see a quick dump and quick pump, or let's just see what happens. But these two gaps will fill eventually because 99% of the time these gaps fill. And if you look at the total liquidity building up, there is good liquidity piling at those levels of the CME gaps. So I would give you a very good chance of Bitcoin at some point hitting 91 and also hitting 97. So look out for those two CME gaps. What is cool is that MicroStrategy bought another $180 million worth of Bitcoin, taking their DCA into the $70,000 region. This has not updated yet, but it will very soon. So that's pretty cool. Public company Semler Scientific bought another 167 Bitcoin worth $16 million also incredible. And Grant Cardone spoke about the importance of diversifying into Bitcoin so that they can hedge themselves in their risk management. And you'll be seeing so many companies doing this and putting 1% to 2% of their portfolios, just like what Brown University decided to do today by with their SEC filings revealing that they have $4.9 million worth of Bitcoin invested in the IBIT Bitcoin ETF. And that's incredible. You know, the more that we see Bitcoin decouple from the stock market, the more attractive Bitcoin becomes. Just like what we spoke with Eric Balchunas last week during Token 2049. Like the more that Bitcoin decouples from the stock market, from gold, from other assets, the more interesting it becomes for risk managers to say, you know what, we want to buy into Bitcoin to hedge ourselves against the rest of our portfolio. And President Trump, funnily enough, actually did talk about this last night. He said how intrigued he was by the fact that Bitcoin and crypto is decoupling from the stock market. He literally said in this interview that Bitcoin didn't drop as much as the stock market did, which makes it pretty interesting. So that was a phenomenal thing to get the approval of decoupling by the president himself. I thought that was pretty interesting. But the more this happens, the more interest institutional investors will put into Bitcoin, and you're seeing it already. It's just going to 10x from where it is today. And I think the price prediction for Bitcoin in the next 10 years can easily go to millions and millions of dollars. In the short term, let's see if this is going to be this cycle specifically will be diminishing returns, inverse parabola, topping at around 140 to 135, or if we're in a tank curve and, this is just support and we're going to continue into millions of dollars. Let's see what happens. I think the probability of super cycle in this cycle is low, but going into next cycle, I think the probability increases pretty significantly. Altcoin market on the day is looking a bit confused, so nothing too important to talk about there. Gold is pumping 2% up in the past 24 hours, pretty impressive, whereas the rest of the market is a bit confused. And finally, the ETFs have added $675 million into their positions on Friday. So guys, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, destroy the like button. And with that said, guys, have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you all on the next video very soon. Take care. And as always, guys, bye-bye.